Martell Holt's custody takeover plan didn't just fail, it collapsed in front of everyone's eyes. He thought he could shake Melody's world by dragging her into court and trying to take her children, but Melody Sherry wasn't having it. She refused to lose the very reason she keeps moving every day. And now, instead of Melody being broken down, it's Martell who's looking stuck while Melody is shining brighter than ever. You ever see someone bounce back so hard that their ex ends up looking like the joke? That's Melody right now. She didn't just walk away from the chaos. She rebuilt herself from scratch, brick by brick, day by day, and the results are speaking louder than any clapback ever could. While Martell is out here pretending to play happy family with his longtime side chick turned partner, Arian Curry, Melody is living like someone who finally came up for air after being trapped underwater for years. Her energy is different. Her spirit is calmer. And her peace is loud enough for the whole world to notice without her ever having to say a word. Let's start with the vibe. Melody isn't out here on Instagram screaming, "I'm winning." She doesn't need to. Her peace speaks for itself. Every video she posts, every picture where she shows up with that natural glow, every public appearance where her smile looks genuine, it's all proof that she's healed in the very places that once hurt her most. She's not just surviving anymore. She's thriving. And that energy? It's contagious. People who don't even keep up with reality TV are pausing their scrolling just to say, "Wow, she looks good." And it's not just about appearances, it's about the way she carries herself. It's about the light she has now that wasn't there during those stormy years. But the part that truly sets Melody apart is her kids. The love she gives them isn't staged, it isn't for Instagram likes, and it isn't about trying to prove something to the world. This is real motherhood. We see her goofing off with them in the car, cheering at their school events, dancing with them in the kitchen. It's the small moments that speak volumes. Her children look safe, loved, and secure. And that kind of parenting, you can't fake it. That's what real winning looks like. Now let's talk about Martell. Because while Melody is moving forward, Martell looks like he's stuck watching reruns of a show that nobody wants to see again. His whole attempt at a custody takeover backfired badly. He thought filing for full custody would make him look like a dedicated father, like some kind of hero who was only doing what was best for his kids. But the people saw right through it. They knew it wasn't about love, it was about control. Nobody just wakes up one day and files for full custody out of nowhere unless they're trying to make a power move. And Martell's timing made it crystal clear, this wasn't about the children's well-being. This was about ego. This was about punishing Melody for choosing herself and walking away. And when the court didn't immediately jump to his side, when the fans started calling him out, and when Melody kept showing up for her kids with consistency, that entire plan unraveled fast. Suddenly, Martell didn't look like a concerned father anymore. He looked like a man trying to weaponize the legal system against the very woman who had been holding everything together for years. And then there's the Arian situation, because that, too, is messy. Every time Martell and Arian try to go public, it just doesn't land. It feels forced, like watching a reboot of a show that never should have gotten a sequel. They post polished family photos, they write cryptic captions, and they clearly want people to believe they've built something solid. But instead of admiration, all they get are side eyes and sarcastic comments. Why? Because people remember. They remember how this all started. They remember the cheating, the lies, the receipts. So when Martell tries to act like everything is picture perfect now, it just doesn't work. And Arian sis, respectfully, it's not looking good for her either. Instead of carving out her own lane, she seems stuck in this endless cycle of reacting to Melody. She's throwing shade, posting subliminals, clapping back at strangers in her comments. It's exhausting to watch. Every post screams insecurity, and the fans aren't fooled. They know who's really at peace and who's still trying too hard to prove they are. Meanwhile, Melody doesn't even blink at the shade. She's too busy working, too busy building. She's speaking at events, expanding her brand, signing new deals, and showing up for her children without missing a beat. That consistency, that reliability is what makes her powerful. And that's why so many people root for her. It's wild when you think about it. Just a few years ago, Martell probably believed he was still in control of the whole narrative. Every time he went live, every time the cameras were rolling, he had that smug confidence like he was pulling all the strings. But lately, that grip has slipped completely. His smiles look tired. His interviews sound more like damage control than truth. And every attempt to rebuild his image keeps getting crushed under the weight of his own actions. The internet doesn't forget. Fans don't forget. And no matter how hard Martell tries to rewrite history, people still remember exactly what went down. Filing for custody wasn't a fatherly act, it was a revenge move. And it failed. Now, instead of being seen as the loving parent, Martell is seen as the man who tried to use the courts as a weapon against his ex. And when you put that against Melody's consistency as a mother, the school events, the kitchen dances, the everyday presence, it's not even a competition. Judges see it, fans see it, and most importantly, those kids see it. But Martell's struggles don't end in the courtroom. His relationship with Ariane is another storm cloud he can't escape. Maybe he thought making his mistress his partner would eventually change the narrative. Maybe he thought people would forget the way it all began. But you can't rebrand betrayal into love, no matter how many cute pictures you post. Every time Ariane throws shade, it just reminds people of the drama. Instead of looking like a strong couple, they look like two people still trapped in chaos, performing for an audience that stopped watching a long time ago. Forced perfection never lasts. You can't put a filter on dysfunction and expect people to applaud. And Martell's behavior doesn't help. His captions feel bitter. His interviews sound like a man trying to convince people he's not the villain. But the problem is, when your actions have been loud for years, words don't undo them. And the fans are tired of watching him try. They've already turned the page. They're not invested in Martell and Ariane's love story. They're invested in Melody's quiet power. Because Melody didn't have to clap back. She didn't have to beg for sympathy. She just had to keep living. And in doing so, she became the stable parent, the role model, and the example that Martell once pretended to be. The irony is sharp. Martell wanted control. He wanted to win by taking everything from Melody. But in the end, he lost the one thing he probably never thought he'd lose: public sympathy. People root for Melody now because her strength is undeniable. Her power isn't just in her comeback. It's in how grounded she's remained while building her new life. No messy rants. No dragging her ex on social media. Just consistency, love for her kids, and focus on her work. That kind of quiet strength is rare, and it's exactly why women everywhere connect to her. Melody didn't just survive the storm. She rebuilt in the sunlight. Every move she makes feels intentional. When she launches a new project, it's with purpose. When she shows up at her kids' games or school performances, it's not for cameras, it's because she genuinely wants to be there. And that authenticity is powerful. When you're no longer trying to prove yourself, you move differently. You shine differently. And right now, Melody's shine is blinding Martell and Ariane. They can't compete with it. Not because they can't find happiness, but because their energy is still tied up in proving something to people who already stopped caring. Every passive-aggressive post, every forced couple photo, every little jab, it all looks desperate. Meanwhile, Melody just keeps glowing without saying a word. People can feel real happiness. You don't have to announce it every 5 minutes. And that's the difference. Fans notice the little things: how Melody shows up even when no cameras are around, how her kids light up when they're with her, how her focus stays steady. That's the kind of love and consistency children remember for life. And that's what makes Melody unshakable. At the end of the day, the roles have completely flipped. Martell used to think he held all the power. Now he's scrambling to clean up the mess he created. Melody walked through the fire and came out glowing. And even with all the noise, she doesn't gloat. She doesn't drag Martell's name. She doesn't have to. Her life does all the talking. And that silence? That's the real flex. Because when you've survived chaos, peace becomes the loudest statement you can make. Melody's making it every single day. Martell may have thought he could win by tearing Melody down, but what he didn't realize is that when a woman finds her peace, her power multiplies. That's exactly what we're seeing. Melody didn't just get her groove back, she built a life that no custody filing, no shady post, and no bitter scheme can touch. She's planted. She's protected. She's powerful. And while Martell and Arian are still performing for a crowd that's no longer clapping, Melody is busy raising her kids, growing her brand, and living her life unbothered, unapologetic, unstoppable.